If you want to buy a drone, your choices are almost down to one name: DJI. As a Chinese company, DJI holds more than 70% of the global market. In many areas, its name is basically another word for drones. But in China right now, there's a real question. Can you actually buy one? And even if you do buy one, can you really fly it? Starting on May 1, 2026, China's capital, Beijing, officially introduced a new rule. The entire city is now classified as controlled airspace. Any outdoor drone flight requires approval. At the same time, both online and in-store sales of drones and their core components are banned. You can't even bring a drone into the city unless you already own one that has completed real name registration and identity verification. Only then are you allowed to carry your own device with you. What this means is simple. Right now, you basically can't buy a new drone there. If you buy one somewhere else, you still can't bring it into the city, or even pass through with it. And even if you already have a registered drone, you still need to apply in advance through the UOM platform to fly it outdoors. The problem is that approvals are very hard to get. As of now, DJI has already removed all drone products from its stores there. The shelves are empty. What's left are just a few handheld gimbals and action cameras. But Beijing is not an isolated case. Also starting on May 1, 2026, two national mandatory standards officially took effect across the country. One is about real name registration and activation requirements. The other is about remote identification rules for operation. Put simply, every newly made drone now has to complete real name registration and activation on the UOM platform. Otherwise, its motors will remain locked. So after spending thousands on a drone, if you don't go through the whole process, what you bought could end up feeling like a piece of scrap metal. And honestly, even going through that process is not easy. For many people, applying for flight approval on the UOM platform is a headache. You submit the application several days early, fill in a detailed flight plan, the time, the location, everything, and then you wait. Usually it's a long wait, and very often the answer you get is just not approved, no explanation. No appeal channel, just not approved. What makes people even more nervous is that the cost of so-called illegal flying is getting higher and higher. Under current rules, if someone flies without approval, and the case is considered serious, they can face 5 to 10 days of administrative detention, so the price is no longer just a fine. In serious cases, it can also leave you with an official violation record. I've always wanted to buy a drone. When I was in college, I couldn't afford one. After I started working, I realized the real problem was not the price. The real problem was that using one legally and properly was not simple at all, and it was only getting harder. In the end, I still never clicked the buy button. Now, if China's control over drones comes mainly from concerns about safety and airspace management, then the US attitude toward the DJI is a completely different story. In 2022, the US Department of Defense added DJI to what it calls the CMC list, short for the Chinese Military Companies list. Once a company is put on that list, it is seen as having links to China's military, and that brings a whole series of restrictions. DJI responded very quickly and very firmly. On October 18, 2024, DJI officially filed a lawsuit against the US Department of Defense, asking the court to remove it from the CMC list. Although the US court rejected some of the Pentagon's claims, in the end it still kept DJI on the list, using the idea of dual-use technology, meaning technology that can be used for both civilian and military purposes. Then in October 2025, DJI filed another appeal, and up to now, that legal battle still has no final result. By the end of 2025, things changed again. The FCC in the United States officially expanded the so-called covered list. This is a more technical and also more subtle kind of restriction. It doesn't directly say DJI is banned. Instead, it blocks new DJI products from getting FCC certification. And that matters a lot, because it means DJI's older products may still fly, but newer models may not legally enter the US market. For example, in some other regions, you can still buy drones from the Little series, but in the United States, you may not even find those new models on the market. The US government has wanted to push DJI out for a long time, but it hasn't fully succeeded. Why not? Because DJI's products are just too good to replace. American fire departments use DJI, farm owners use DJI, film crews in Hollywood use DJI, even some government departments have used DJI, and no American company can match it. And that's the irony. DJI became the best civilian drone company in the world. It gave ordinary people a way to see the world from above. But the better it became, the harder it became to use. Right now, in China, flying a drone is getting harder and harder. You need real name registration, you need approval. And in places like Beijing, even buying one has become difficult. In the United States, the problem is different. There, DJI is not treated as a consumer brand, it is treated as a security problem. So on one side, it faces tighter control at home. On the other side, it faces political pressure abroad. DJI did not lose because people stopped liking its products. If anything, the problem is that the technology became too good, too influential, and too impossible to ignore. And once that happens, it stops being just a consumer product.